Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's lecture for our microbiology class. And today we are going to be discussing chapter 23 from our Microbiology for Health Sciences textbook. And in this chapter, we are going to be discussing the infectious diseases manifesting in the gastrointestinal tract. Let us begin. First, we're going to cover the gastrointestinal tract. To begin, the gastrointestinal tract is often referred to as you'll hear it as the digestive tract or the digestive system, and it contains in in summary, it is a long tube that extends from the mouth all the way to the anus of the human body and other mammals as well. The gastrointestinal tract also houses the sophisticated delivery system um, for nutrients, and it's composed of eight main sections. And these sections are the mouth, the pharynx, the esophagus, the stomach, the small intestine, the large intestine, the rectum, and the anus. Um, it also houses other organs as well, such as the salivary glands, the liver, the gallbladder, and the pancreas. And these will secrete different types of enzymes and such that help protect the gastrointestinal tract. On the right here, we have a picture of figure 23.1 from your textbook, and it has the labeled gastrointestinal tract as well as the accessory organs that we covered. So as you can see, you can pause and look at it now, for we will not cover it in this lecture. To continue the GI tract, it contains millions of organisms, so it's a heavy load of these microorganisms, and it encounters new ones every single day. And because of this, the defenses of infection of the DI tract are very important. So, all in the intestinal surfaces are coated with a layer of mucus, and this provides mechanical protection. Secretory IgA can also be found on most of the surfaces of the intestines as well. And the muscular walls of the GI tract help move food and the microorganisms as well through the um, digestive system through an action called, I'm sorry if I mispronounce this, but peristalsis. And there are also fluids also in the GI tract that have antimicrobial properties. And this is can be fluids such as saliva, which contains um I'm sorry for the yawn here. Which contains the proteins lysosome and lactoferrin, and the stomach fluid is also antimicrobial because of its extremely low pH, and bile is also antimicrobial as well. Now we're going to be discussing the different diseases that can infect the GI system, but in this case, we're going to be covering the mouth, so the teeth and such. So let us begin with dental caries, which is also known as tooth decay in simple terms. This is the most common infectious disease in humans, and it involves a process of dissolution of the solid tooth due to the metabolic action of bacteria. The symptoms are not always noticeable, but they range from minor disruption of the enamel surface of the tooth, which is the outer surface, to the complete destruction of the enamel and then destruction of the deeper layers in the tooth all the way down to the root. The deeper lesions of the tooth can, that result from this infection can infect the soft tissue that's inside the tooth, which is called the pulp, and it contains all the blood vessels and the nerves, and this can be extremely painful, and this is what's often referred to as a toothache as well. Um, there is also, I'm trying to think what I'm trying to say here. The best prevention is through the restrict to prevent dental caries is restriction through is a dietary type of restriction. So the dietary restriction would be restricting things such as sucrose and then other refined carbohydrates as well. And then you also need to brush regularly and floss, and it removes the plaque that's on the teeth, which can play an extremely important role in tooth decay as well. Um, treatment of this, it's kind of a serious type of treatment when it comes to dental aspects, but it involves the the lesion on the tooth and involves removing that infected part of the tooth, or it can remove the whole tooth in general. And it's all followed by a restoration of that tooth with artificial tooth structures or maybe veneers and so forth, such as that. Um, and to the right here, we have a disease table from your book. And if you want to pause now, you can take a look at that because we were not going to cover it at this very moment. Let's move on. Next is periodontal disease. Now, sorry, periodontal is the meaning of that is of or pertaining to the gums as well as the surface structures of the supporting structures of the teeth. So this disease, hmm, sorry, this disease affects the gums of of the mouth, and 97 to 100% of the population have some sort of manifestation of this disease by age 45. The initial disease, the stage of this disease is gingivitis. So that's inflammation of the gums, tissue in contact with the roots and the teeth. And signs of it are swelling, loss of uh, gingival contour, patches of redness, and increased bleeding in your gums as well. Um, this can be transmitted through oral contact, close oral contact with other people, so like kissing and such forth. And it's dentists refer to a wide range of risk factors associated with periodontal disease, and especially deficient oral hygiene. So brushing your teeth is also very important in preventing this. Um, but it's also so common in the population that most of us can uh, prevent this disease just by improving our oral hygiene. And when we brush our teeth to prevent this, it removes the plaque, and it also reduces the caries and the calculus production. Right here to the right is a picture of what periodontal disease looks like, just to prevent people. I put this picture in here just to try to prevent others from um not doing oral hygiene so it can see your mouth don't look like this, obviously. Let's move on to our next section, and our next section is helminthic diseases that um can affect the gastrointestinal tract. The helminths that parasitize humans are really diverse. So they range from roundworms, which are about 3 millimeters in length, to tapeworms, which can be 25 meters in length. And they're broken down into three categories. So nematodes, roundworms, uh, trematodes, which are flukes, and cestatodes, which are ranked tapeworms. And we discussed this earlier in earlier chapters of our textbook and in lecture as well. Um, they have an adaptation that helps them survive on their host. Well, they that allows them to survive in a host. So they have specialized mouth parts for attaching to tissues and feeding on that tissue's enzymes, which they liquefy and keep penetrating into the tissues and the cuticles. And the cuticles or other coverings to protect them from the defenses of the host as well. They must have a definitive host in order to survive. And a definitive host is an organism in which a parasite develops into its adult or sexually mature stage, and it's often referred to as the final host. Now, over here to the right, we have the little picture here of from our textbook. And it is the four basic helmet stage, the cycle of the helmet stage. So you got class A, class B, class C, and class D. If you want to pause here and review the cycle, take a look, study it, you can do that now because we're not going to cover it in this lecture due to our short time limit we have today. Next, we're going to cover, I apologize for mispronouncing this if I do, Enterobius vermicularis and um, Taenia solium. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that again. So we're going to refer to those as EV and TS from here on out. EV is a type of nematode and it is often referred to as a pinworm or a threadworm. It's most common in children um in who sorry, just had a brain fart. It is most common in children who live in temperate climates and temperate zones of the world. Um, and it affects about the prevalence of this infection is in about 5 to 15% of the United States, is up to the amount of about 40 million cases per year that are seen by doctors. The transmission of this disease is of this roundworm, to be more specific, is through the cycle called A type as well. TS is a type of tapeworm, and it can grow to be upwards of 5 meters long, and it can also have a scolex with hooklets and suckers that attach to the intestine and feed on the nutrients from the intestine, thus making its host feel weak and sick. Um, and it can cause, sorry if I mispronounced this as well, um, stereosis. And this is a condition in which the larvae of the tapeworm TS becomes embedded inside the human tissue, thus and starts reproducing there as well. And now we are on our final slide, and this is about two more different diseases in the helminthic diseases in the GI tract. And this is sorry for mispronouncing this again, Opus throchus, cyanosis, and chlorochisis, and this is the development of OS and CS as we're going to refer to them here. And OS and CS are referred to as liver flukes. They're a type of worm that we refer to as them, and their development cycle is completed in different mammals, so such as humans, cats, dogs, swine, uh, types like that. The intermediate development of these two liver flukes occurs in snails and fish hosts. And the humans can ingest these and can gain these by ingesting inadequate cooked raw fish as well. Um, the larvae that are plant that of these two flukes, they hatch and crawl into bile ducts where they mature and um, have their own eggs as well and these eggs are added into the intestinal tract of a human or a mammal. And then the feces of the human which can contain these eggs, the feces then passes on to a snail host that is in standing water when this becomes the intermediate host. And then in the final once the cycle is complete, when the snails that are infected release these two um these two liver flukes and their larvae, it releases them and their eggs into the same water that infected the same water that fish live in, so infecting these fish, thus restarting that cycle over. And here we have another disease table from our textbook, and it shows the liver and intestinal disease and their names, the causative origins, the most common modes of transmission, so forth. And this concludes today's lecture. I hope you all have a great rest of your week and um are are studying hard and so forth. And um have a great weekend and enjoy this nice weather. Thank you.